Four massive fights were announced last night. UFC 313's new co-main event. We got Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev 2. Obviously not as hype as the Dan Hooker matchup, but grateful to still have Gaethje on the card. Also, we have more. Bryce Mitchell versus Silva. Silva got a badass knockout last weekend, and he made the call out to Bryce Mitchell. Bryce replied, he said yes, and they're going to throw down in Miami. UFC 314, super stacked card. I'm so excited for that one. That's going to be incredible. And then we also have Jamahal Hill and Khalil Rountree as a main event for UFC Kansas City. This is a dope fight in the light heavyweight division. I was wondering what direction they'd go for with Rountree and Hill. I wouldn't have been opposed to Rountree versus Yuri Prochazka. I think that could have been a really cool matchup too. But I definitely think this is better for Jamahal Hill than if it was somebody like an Alexander Rakic, who I know some folks had interest in seeing them matched up. But personally, much prefer this one. Also, we had Marlon Vera and Mario Bautista announced last night. They're going to be fighting at that UFC Des Moines, Iowa card. You know, this is not a fight that I love, but I guess it kind of makes sense rankings-wise, and seeing that Batista just beat Jose Aldo kind of makes sense that the Vera fight happens now. But I will not lie to you. I really was hoping that Marlon Vera versus Song Yadong 2 would happen, but I guess their timelines just didn't really work out. And also, we have some disappointing news. This is sad to me. I am a Taylor Lapilus fan. You guys know if you follow the channel, I like Lapilus' style. He's a clean striker. Yeah, he's not a knockout artist. He doesn't really get a lot of finishes, but he's technically sound with a pretty high fight IQ. 3-1 on his UFC return, getting cut from the UFC. And I believe he also does commentary for the French broadcast. Really sad that they let Lapilus go. He's 6-2 in the UFC overall. And you know what's crazy? Last time they let him go, it was also after a win. This time, it's after a 2-fight win streak. They're clearing up space on the roster. Maybe that's because they have some really exciting signings, maybe ex-PFL fighters making the transition to the UFC. We already got Patricio, Aaron Pico's in talks, and maybe even Vadim Nemkov, Patchy Mix, and more. So it could be why they're clearing up a lot of space on the roster. There was also a handful of other guys that got released. We'll talk about that when we get to this segment. I want to first start, though, with the marquee news of yesterday and the news of the week. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev will be the new co-main event. It is not 5 rounds. That's disappointing, right? We had Dan Hooker, 5-round, badass co-main against Gaethje. It just had a mystical fight lore about it, and it felt like a BMF fight. But this is still a really cool matchup. We saw their first fight, really competitive. There was actually a handful of people that felt Fiziev could have won the decision. Seeing them run it back, it's not a bad idea, right? Because I know Gamrot was begging for the fight, but with Gamrot, you're going to get a guy looking to chain wrestle and pressure, whereas Fiziev is definitely going to mix it up on the feet with Justin Gaethje. How do I see it playing out, though? Fiziev's inactivity, he hasn't fought since getting injured against Mateusz Gamrot, and that was a little while ago now. I actually should probably double check when that was, but I think that was 2023. Has it been over a year? Yeah. 2023, September. So year and a half off for Fiziev. Bad injury. Fight before that, he lost to Gaethje in 2023 as well. So now they run this one back. To be fair, Fiziev, he kind of looked good early with Gamrot, and then shit went awry with the injury. Still definitely primed at 31. His stand-up game is smooth for sure, but injury layoff, not just a layoff and he's, just training and just not getting matchups. Injury layoff, recovery process. Short notice fight against Gaethje, and it's not like, oh, he has a month. It's like a hella short notice. That fight is next Saturday. He's days away from that fight. I really have to favor a full camp Justin Gaethje to win. Now, there has been some concerns brought to me about the fight. Simple concerns, really, but small concerns that are just worth looking at. But it is Justin Gaethje, so I don't think it really matters. But there's rumor now that he's coming into this fight having started his training camp with a really fucked up finger. I'm going to look at this real quick. We can even listen to Gaethje talk about it for 10 seconds, and I'll give you guys my reaction. Or not, or it's loading. I feel like I'm in 2006 when shit loads like this, guys. There we go. Come on, Gaethje, show us your hands. I got banging internet, guys. It's not my internet. Trust. This is just Twitter fucking with me. The disrespect. There we go. We reloaded.
I think it looks normal.
Let's see if it looks normal.
I think it looks.
I mean, his fingers look absolutely swollen, but you know, the guy punches people in the face every single day of the week. Those fingers, they look like sausages, bro. Holy shit. But then this is where he shows what's fucked up. Look at this.
His fingers definitely.
It looks like there's fucking ink on there.
Anything but normal.
He can barely make a fist, yo. Justin Gaethje definitely had fucked up hands heading into it, but it's also Justin Gaethje. So what does that matter? He's the type of guy that can fight with fucked up hands. It doesn't affect his mentality. He's sick. He just throws caution to the wind and bangs. I think he handles business against Fiziev and wins another decision. I expect we have a pretty on-point version of Gaethje. I know some people are really worried about the loss to Max Holloway, and I get that, but he did decide to take like a proper recovery period. It's not like he's like, yo, I want to turn around in 4 months. He took a nice little layoff since UFC 300. There's been a lot of events. This is UFC 313. He took his time before coming back and fighting. And I think it was a good move to take about a year to recover after a violent loss like that. And now he comes in well-rested and prepared. On short notice, Fiziev, as talented as he is, I like his stand-up, he ain't handling business. Gamrot was pissed off. This is Gamrot just absolutely coping. Easier choice stylistically. Strikers have always feared wrestlers. I keep in great shape and I'm ready for anyone. The disrespect is unreal, all right? Dan Hooker's a striker that just beat you, Mateusz Gamrot. What are you talking about? Strikers fearing wrestlers, maybe a few years back, but we've seen a lot of good wrestlers get exploited by superior striking. I mean, as bad as the fight ended, I mean, Song Yadong piecing up and landing big shots on Cejudo in round one. I guess, you know, the fight was inconclusive, so maybe not the best example, but there's definitely some serious question marks just around like, you know, the wrestling game versus guys that can strike. Everybody has good takedown defense now. Yeah, Gamrot's a beast of a chain wrestler, but I don't know if they feared the matchup. The UFC just wanted more insane excitement. Fiziev says, no one fears you. You are the one who turned down our rematch on February 1st. Damn. I did see Fiziev calling for that fight. Huh. So interesting. Maybe Fiziev was staying ready. So maybe we have a Fiziev in pretty good condition staying ready. I guess he must have been because he's going to make 55. I'm still picking Gaethje, though. I'm still riding with him. I don't think he's washed. And Gaethje's an underdog. He's like plus 110. That makes no sense to me. Ludovic Klein made a call out. He's reaching. He's like, yo, please, Gamrot, give me the big fight. I want to break into the top 15. He called him out. Tough luck not getting picked for the co-main at 313. Styles make fights. You think his style can challenge me? Brings up his 7-fight unbeaten streak, and he feels he deserves a shot at the rankings, which, to be fair, Ludovic Klein's close to it, but the way he beat Roosevelt Roberts was horrible, and I don't know if he deserves that big matchup. I don't know. We'll see what the UFC decides. I don't think they're giving Ludovic Gamrot, but I like to call out. Also, we had Arman Sarukian pissed off. I didn't say no. I accepted immediately, and I asked for 160 pounds, catch weight, 11 days out from weigh-ins. UFC said that wasn't an option. So technically, he turned it down. They said, hey, are you willing to fight? The fight is at 155. What do you think? And he said no. So even if he says, oh, but I accepted catch weight. No, you didn't accept the fight. Not shitting on him for not accepting it. At the end of the day, Justin Gaethje definitely preferred matchups against, you know, higher tier opposition. I mean, he himself, he did an interview talking about that he wanted to fight against, you know, the likes of Arman Sarukian or Charles Oliveira. I guess I can show you guys the clip. I have it right here. Shout out to Hernanov, hardcore subscriber. He sent me this during the actual video. So I'm going to watch it for the first time with you guys.
Yeah, but I never heard Gamrot. I think, you know, the UFC trying to make a replacement for Dan Hooker, they never considered Gamrot. That's a very different fight.
That actually is interesting that they never considered Gamrot. It's because the style matchup goes from pure striker to pure wrestler. It's not what Gaethje was preparing for, and it's not what the fans want to see either.
Different night. But I think for me, off the top of the list was Oliveira and Sarukian, because those are the guys that are ranked ahead of me, the number 1, number 2 contenders, and they're the guys that if I get a win over them, you know, I get to go exactly where I want to go, and that's fight Makhachev.
Damn, Gaethje still is title focused, which I like. This is hungry Gaethje. So getting the Fiziev fight is interesting now. Wow, hungry Gaethje. The Sarukian fight at 160 could have been cool, though. I wouldn't have been opposed to it, but I guess the UFC is like, no, we're doing it at 55. It has to be relevant for the rankings.
Moicano said he would fight. And then after that, you know, being that I'm getting ready for a fight, I have to say yes to anybody, you know. And this being me being the number 3 guy in the world, it's a big business, and I had to really rely on my coach and my manager to make that decision for me.
Is somehow Justin Gaethje sounding like he's part Hispanic these days, man, more than ever before? I think he's got a little Spaniard in him, but I feel like the accent's coming out more than I've seen. I don't know if I'm delusional. You guys let me know in the comments. Maybe I am. I think the Fiziev fight is the right one. Sarukian said 60. I'm sure Oliveira was uninterested, and he already has a win over Gaethje, so I get why. Gamrot fight would have been a chain wrestling match with most people don't want to see it. So I think that the UFC went the right route doing this fight right here with Gaethje and Fiziev. Now, overall, it definitely does good things for the card. I think it kind of saves the card. It keeps it as a high caliber card. Only 11 fights on the card, too, for next Saturday, but pretty banging main card. Jalen Turner and Bajo Mendez is dope. Bobby Green versus Rufi is awesome. We got 3 lightweight fights. Gaethje versus Fiziev co-main. And then Lemos versus Lucindo is actually one of the better women's fights. Like, I'd sometimes talk down to certain matchups, like UFC Vegas 103 this Saturday. Yeah, the women's fights on the card are low caliber. But Lucindo and Lemos is a badass fight. I love that. And Pereira Ankalaev, you all know, this is the banger on bangers. I'll break the card down in full effect on Sunday, and we'll talk about everything. But, early pick is going to be Justin Gaethje, and I'll elaborate further on Sunday after the tape study and all. But, yeah, I think Gaethje handles business. Now, next set of news to discuss, Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva gets announced. Gene Silva is such a sensational striker. I love the way he rips this left hook to the body and then the right hand up high. He does it in training. I've watched him hit the pads, and he loves that technique. And honestly, it's a pretty badass combo. I think that Bryce Mitchell definitely poses a threat with his wrestling. It's going to be interesting to see how Gene Silva deals with somebody like a Bryce Mitchell, who's pretty consistent at not only hitting takedowns, but actually garnering good control time. I feel like when I think about the matchup, though, I feel like the striking gap differential is wide. I'm pulling up the Tapology. You can look. Gaethje does lose to high-caliber strikers, Josh Emmett and Ilia Topuria, and even the Dan Ige fight. Dan Ige's a high-caliber striker. He did a lot of damage to Bryce Mitchell, but ultimately ended up losing the decision because of some key takedowns. On the side of Gene Silva, he's got 2 losses long time ago. 3-1 at the time that he lost. So it was his 4th pro fight. He's never been finished before. I don't know, man. People worry about what if Charles Jourdain did X, Y, and Z with the takedown? And Silva did miss weight for that fight. That's interesting. But he seems more dialed in now. Bro, he fucked up Drew Dober and he fucked up Melsik Baghdasaryan back-to-back. As much as I think Bryce Mitchell is an interesting clash of styles because it's going to be something totally different than what, the last 2 opponents have brought to Gene Silva. I really expect Gene to thrive. I think he's got a solid fight IQ. Being at Fighting Nerds, they got him cooked up. Where's the Fighting Nerds glasses? Come on. I'm wearing these again. I love these glasses. Listen, Gene Silva to handle business, but oh my gosh, bro. They released the betting odds for this fight and it just made me want to vomit in my mouth. Oh my gosh, let me find them, bro. Real quick. All right, where are the odds? Yeah, betting odds for the fight. -450 at open to Bryce Mitchell at +350. I think the lines have gotten even wider. Oh my. Yeah. No, actually, no, better. Not oh my, still oh my, because they're wide. -400 for Gene Silva, +330 for Bryce Mitchell. That's crazy to me. I think Silva wins, but these are not the odds of what the fight actually are, right? It's, I don't know. It's a super inflated line. You got to lay hella chalk down for Silva if you're a gambler. I like more -240 for Silva at most, or even -170, like the Volkanovski and Lopez odds. That's crazy to me, man. I don't agree with these wide-ass odds at all. I think, though, Gene Silva does knock Bryce Mitchell out. When Mitchell fights against high-caliber strikers, he's going to be in danger zone. Now, sure, could he land takedowns and get some control time on Gene Silva? Yes. But do I think he subs him? No. So if he can't sub him, is he going to ground and pound him? No. The fight's eventually going to be held on the feet, and I think that is where Gene Silva is going to deliver a boom, badass knockout. So we're going Gene Silva to handle business. I like Gene Silva to win. I am picking him. Early pick Gene Silva. And I actually really love the fight. I'm happy the UFC went through with it. Breaks Gene Silva into the top 15. And if he goes out and fucks Bryce Mitchell up, oh my gosh, the sky is the limit for Gene Silva in 2025. I hope that it happens. I think he handles business. I hate the odds, but I think he wins the fight. man, it is what it is. Looking at UFC 314 as a whole, super card. Holy shit. Volkanovski versus Lopez, Chandler Pimblett, Rodriguez, Pitbull, Neil Prates, Mitchell, Silva. This is the perfect main card. Yeah, this is epic. This is fucking epic. Every single one of these fights are high caliber. Like the co-main event, Chandler versus Pimblett, is a money co-main for 5 rounds. Rodriguez and Pitbull easily is a fight night main event, as is Neil Prates, as is Mitchell and Silva. Every fight besides the main 2 is easily fight night main event. To be fair, featured fights on pay-per-views, all of them. Like we have all featured fights, you know? All of these fights are high caliber. It's not like we have some unranked matchups on the main card, like Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bellato, that, you know, pay-per-view at UFC 312. It's like, this is what UFC pay-per-views are. This feels like the Super Bowl of MMA. Like, that's what the pay-per-views are supposed to be. And this lives up to it. So 10 out of 10. Shout out to UFC. And 3 badass fights at 145. I love the weight classes here. We got a badass 145 fights, badass lightweight fight, and a badass welterweight fight. Damn, I'm excited for 314. Miami is about to be absolutely lit on fire. Holy shit. If you're in the area, you should go. You should go. You should go. I'm streaming the full card, man. So I'm not going. People been asking, bro, you're not far from there. Are you going? Nah. I'm gonna stream, bro. I'm a fight companion king at this point. I'm keeping the the live streams is the priority. And I love hanging out with the community during the fights, but pretty badass card that seeing live would be special. Jamahal Hill and Khalil Rountree. I love this fight. It's one of the best fights you can do at light heavyweight. I'm happy that they booked it, actually. What are the odds? Jamahal Hill minus 162. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that Rountree was the favorite, but no, it makes sense. He's the underdog. Jamahal Hill's the former champ, but the odds are getting closer. Jamahal Hill hasn't won a fight in a minute, though, bro. Jamahal Hill's last win was against Glover, right? Yeah, his last win was January 2023, over 2 years ago against Glover. Khalil Rountree handling business against Anthony Smith. Fuck. Shit, man. He looks so good in the loss to Pereira, but it could be because Pereira had staff. I don't know, man. I don't know why I want to early lean Rountree to pull off the win, because he has more tools in the tool shed. And this being a main event, we got 5 rounds. But Jamahal handled Glover. Wow, I'm having a hard time picking this. This is definitely a fight. Like, the tape study tells all, guys, all right? But I'm going off the top of the dome right now with my intuition, all right? With my feelings. I'm telling you that I have a secret here, if I can find it. Where's my secret? Where's my secret weapon? Zin. The Zin will give me the answer. Oh my gosh, it's telling me stick with Khalil. Half of me really wants to pick Jamahal, though, but I feel like Khalil's crafty as fuck, and he's durable. In a 5-round fight, I think these guys get after it. But I feel like I'm lying to myself. Now I'm thinking Jamahal Hill works a nice, stiff, straight shot, catches Rountree. I'll stick with Rountree, but yo, seeing this fight in my head, all I see is absolute badass chaos between the two of them. And it's the perfect fight to make, though, at light heavyweight. I mean, looking at the rankings, these guys are top 10, not even top 6 on Tapology, right? You got Jamahal Hill, Rountree, winners back in the mix. You got Blachowicz and Alberg, #1 contender fight. If Rountree handles Jamahal Hill, I love Rountree Prochazka. Don't know if that would happen, but holy fuck, that'd be an amazing fight. Rountree and Prochazka has to happen. I need to see it. I'm saying Rountree wins this one because the MMA gods are forcing us to watch Rountree and Prochazka in one of the most badass displays of martial arts ever. Like, who wouldn't want to see that fight? And I think if Rountree can win this one, he's in that matchup. I think it's right there. It's on the horizon. I think he'll beat Jamahal. Jamahal Hill's good, but taking a lot of damage in his past 2. Not that, fuck. Rountree took a shitload of damage as well against Pereira, but like comparing their Pereira fights, it's like 1-punch KO versus like legit Rountree made it a dogfight. So very interesting. I'm excited. UFC delivering. Badass main event right here. I'm going to go Rountree. There's some amazing cards. Holy hell. I was upset with some matchmaking earlier this week with Aldo and Zahabi. I don't like that fight, but they're making up for it with these bangers. And then Marlon Vera versus Batista. Again, I don't love it, but it's not a bad fight. I'm being a hater. I just had a bias towards wanting to witness the Song Yadong rematch. I got to drink a little coffee. The Song Yadong rematch with Marlon Vera. I feel like it would have been interesting to see them run it back. Vera getting robbed the last time at 45, but timelines didn't work out. Mario Bautista's on fire right now. Mario Bautista is. I got to make sure that I'm not wrong here saying that this fight's 5 rounds or 3. Like, I need to double check. Let me see. Mario Bautista and Marlon Chito Vera is scheduled as the co-main event. No, it's not even the co-main event, but it's not 5 rounds. 3-round fight. Oh man. 3-round fight, especially Mario Bautista. Batista's pace is going to be too much early. His wrestling pressure will land some key takedowns. I just don't think it'll be super entertaining, but yeah, Mario Bautista should win, and he finds himself in a pretty good spot, and low-key is surging up the ranks without much fan intrigue, but he's surging. I wanted to see Batista versus Henry Cejudo also after their little banter, but seems like the UFC is like, nah, we're pushing you to something better. Batista versus Vera, they're writing Vera off. Vera's not going to be able to start quick enough to stop Batista with a little effective offense early. You'll land some key takedowns and win a competitive fight. Batista with the wrestling pressure. Vera's takedown defense is not fucking good enough, man. And his striking volume is not great. Not enough so to keep Batista off of him. I'm sure Vera can land some big shots, but unless he's catching Batista with a head kick, right? A real dangerous knee up the center as Batista's shooting. Like, he's going to need massive moments of immense damage. He's not going to win a tit-for-tat fight. He needs like a serious knockdown or like a flash KO type moment. And I just think Batista is primed right now. He's been looking, I don't want to say he's been looking good because that Aldo fight was shiesty, but he's definitely on a roll. Good win streak. Momentum strongly in his favor. How many wins in a row? 7 wins in a row for Mario Bautista. Chito Vera, 2 and 3 in his last 5, lost to O'Malley and Figgy. Key takedowns will be given up in a 3-round fight. You have to favor Batista. In a 5-round fight, things get interesting. Chito Vera should only be in 5-round fights. But in a 3-rounder, I feel like Batista might handle business, man. He might handle business. I don't know, man. I'm thinking back, though, for a second. I'm like, wait a second. Before I jump the gun, I will say, when Marlon Vera had success late against Figueiredo, that got me excited. But is that enough to handle a hungry Batista? In a 3-rounder, again, I think like Vera might win the 3rd round, but the first 2 rounds, he ends up taking an L. I'm trying to see if there's betting odds available. I'm not seeing any lines. Somebody puts in Reddit, absolute snoozer for 14 minutes, then Chito remembers how to throw a fucking punch. Yeah, probably accurate. Chito Vera wins the 3rd round. That's my bet on this fight. Do we have opening odds yet? Fucking hell, no, we don't. I'll assume that Batista is a moderate favorite in this spot. I'll pick him, but I don't want to. Let's keep running through. Guys, all right? Now, this next segment is going to piss me off. It's a little bit of a rant. If you tuned into my live stream earlier, you know that I was like pretty upset about this. So Taylor Lapilus got cut from the UFC. He's a really consistent performer, and I guess he's a guy that, I don't know, man. He's a guy that I just like to back. I like to support. Taylor Lapilus, he's technically sound. He picks his shots well. Yeah, he's not super violent or super entertaining, but he's got a good fight IQ. He's won 2 fights in a row. I guess I don't get why cut a guy who's won 2 fights in a row. That's how I'm kind of feeling. Like, it's one thing if he had lost 2 fights in a row, but we're keeping around. Girl on this card coming up, Andrea Lee, has lost 5 fights straight. We got Tai Tuivasa losing 5 fights straight. But then they cut Rosenstruik, man. The cuttings don't make any sense. Win over Cody Stammen and Vince Morales, right? Vince Morales just went tooth and nail with the prospect and gave him a lot of trouble in Elijah Smith. I just don't think the cutting makes sense of Lapilus. I mean, he beat Colin Loughran. Loughran's still on the roster. Lost to Farid Basharat, but he's way better between the Basharat brothers. He's 13-0, and like actually he's the Basharat brother that's probably going to break into the top 15. So 1 loss on his recent run, 6-2 UFC career, and they're letting him go. I get it though. Maybe having, 8 UFC fights, the contract they would have to offer him would be too lucrative, but he's not going to make that type of money elsewhere. It just sucks in this modern era. Like, Taylor Lapilus leaves. If it's 10 years ago, it's like, oh, well, there's other promotions. Like, he can find his footing in Bellator. And at one point, even years before then, oh, well, he could go to Strikeforce and still have some success, right? There's really no avenues. Like, outside of the UFC, PFL, I guess, but it's really not a great promotion. You got GFL starting up, but I have no idea if they're even going to have fights. It could just be a pipe dream. Yeah, unfortunate, man. I am disappointed to see Lapalus released. I like Taylor Lapalus, especially betting wise. You put him in parlays, like the dude just consistently wins decisions. Over 2.5 Lapalus fight, you bet him by decision, or you just put him straight in the parlay. You know he's gonna perform. He's got a good fight IQ, picks his shots, wins some key rounds. But I don't know. I guess that's my own bias. The UFC didn't find him valuable. I felt like he was one of the better guys outside of the top 15, and I would have hoped to see him again. And he also is doing the commentary for the French. So, like, damn, bro, they don't care. They're ruthless. Like, see you later. You're doing commentary. Get the fuck out. Damn. Sad to see Taylor Lapalus go again, but is what it is. He'll be back to Aries FC. Watch him in France. Wow. Also, a handful of other fighters were cut. Julio Arce, Josh Kula-Beao, Jonathan Pierce, Clayton Rodriguez, and Cody Stammen. These ones made a little more sense. I mean, Jonathan Pierce is actually kind of good, though. Like, he's got solid wrestling, but he got quickly subbed up last time versus Pat Sabatini. Let's see Jonathan Pierce's last few. But didn't he lost 3 in a row. Yeah, he did. He gave Onama a tough fight. Yeah, he lost 3 straight, though. Joannis and Brito subbed him. 3 straight losses, even though I think he's relatively talented. 3 L's in a row. Like, I'm not going to bitch heavy at that. Clayton Rodriguez was not good. He was a complete bust. Cody Stammen was well past his prime, unfortunately, man. He was real close to beating Douglas Silva de Andrade, but not shocking they let him go. Cody Stammen's been taking L's on L's. Josh Kula-Beao, unfortunately, he's losing bad decisions, but you got to win fights regardless of bad decisions. And Julio Arce, what was his last fight? I can't remember off the top of my head. Julio Arce's last one. Yeah, he just fucked up Herbert Burns. He's coming off a win, too. I don't know why they're cutting Julio Arce. I mean, I guess he is 35. Maybe they're trying to clear space. That's my guess, is they're trying to clear some space on the roster to have a little more capital to put towards signing some of these high-caliber guys that are leaving other promotions, Bellator or PFLator, whatever the fuck we want to call it. That could be the reasoning, but is what it is, man. I guess not rest in peace. They ain't dead, but goodbye to the UFC careers of these guys. These 6 are gone. I think Taylor Lapalus deserved being cut the least. I think he should have been kept. You can cut the rest of them, not Lapalus. Kula-Beao, Hamosh fight was horrible. Danny Silva fight. Like, he has good moments, but he loses. Fight IQ is too shit. But he's actually pretty skillful. But he lost 3 in a row. Yeah. Split decisions, though, back-to-back. But 3 in a row and the loss to Hamosh is bad. I think fair cut. To be honest, I feel like they should have kept Lapalus, and you could have also made an argument to keep Julio Arce. Those two seem like the 2 guys you can keep. Cody Stammen, it's just he got old, man. At one point, Cody Stammen was a contender. Didn't he have that draw against Song Yadong years ago? I forgot about that fight. I'm 99% sure. Yeah, he drawed with Song Yadong in 2019, but my God, man, what is he? 2 wins, 6 losses in his past 8, 3 straight losses, subbed in the first round by Blackshear. Yeah, send them out. He's out of the UFC. Cody Stammen is, he's washed, unfortunately. I agree with the cuts of everybody besides Lapalus, and actually also not crazy about them releasing the side of Julio Arce either. Jonathan Pierce, he's lost a lot in a row, so I'm not really that shocked. 2 more fight announcements after I finish recording, so I got to add this in. We got Sergey Spivak versus Shamil Gaziev in the works. Yo, Lord Gaziev for the W? I actually love the matchmaking. I feel like it's a good fight for Shamil. Spivak's striking sucks. He's really good on the ground, but Gaziev should have quality takedown defense. And I feel like the guys that beat Gaziev have like solid wrestling defensive abilities and knockout power. Seeing that, Spivak pretty much only has a path to win by wrestling, I'm saying that we got a nice W incoming for Lord Gaziev. Blob gang, stand up, yo. The Blob army's coming in heavy. I'm picking him. 14-1. Yeah, he's 5 years older, but it doesn't matter. It's heavyweight. 35 is young at heavyweight. And also, call me AJ the matchmaker or what? Did I not call this fight Kute Laba Bukauskis? They added it to UFC 315 in Montreal. AJ the matchmaker. Hat is on. I said this would be the right fight if you watch my recap show for last week's card. And look at that. They book it quick. They both fought on the same card. Both came out with first-round finishes. Quick turnarounds. Damn. Can Bukauskis handle the wrestling? That's a big question mark, man. Kute Laba's takedown game is strong, but Bukauskis' hands are starting to come together, man. Wow, this early pick is almost just a coin flip. I don't know why, but I have this weird hunch that Bukauskis is well-rounded enough to win like a gritty split decision over Cutelaba. But don't quote me on it. The official pick will drop as we get closer. But I just wanted to react to the fight and shout out myself, to be honest, a little bit, because I called this fight and it came to fruition. And even though these are not like marquee fights, I still think these are interesting matchups and they're guys that I care to watch fight. So I had to react to Cutelaba Bukauskas and Lord Gaziev versus Spivak as a little quick add to the video. But that is the news of the day, guys. All right. Lapalus is out. See you later. But UFC 313, in essence, the card is saved. Without a Gaethje fight, it would have took a substantial hit. But Gaethje and Fiziev, I don't know. It's like you want to get a nice fancy dinner, but it's like, fuck though. Chili's is open. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Chili's is still good. That's how I feel about Gaethje Fiziev 2 as opposed to the Dan Hooker fight. You'll still like it. It's like you want a pizza, you get that nice Italian pizza, like a real like New York pizza place, or you can go, Domino's. It still hits. It's still pizza. You'll still enjoy it. That's how I feel about this fight, but not as good. Not like the fine wine of the fight game. That's it. Gaethje Fiziev. I hope you guys enjoyed today's news reaction. I enjoyed it, man. I'm excited for these news reactions. Thank you guys for watching. Smash the likes on your way out. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the show. Make sure you subscribe. I got daily content dropping. W's in the comments if you got nothing to say, but definitely let your voices be heard. I want to hear about your opinions on everything. Are you upset about the Taylor Lapalus cut, or am I just like the one weirdo that was a fan of him? I want to hear from you guys. Thanks, guys. See you all later. Peace out.